Have you ever wondered if ghosts really exist? According to the Bible, the existence of ghosts as wandering spirits of the dead is nothing more than a myth, and this truth comes straight from Jesus himself. Before we delve into this mind-blowing revelation, welcome to our channel, where we unravel the mysteries of biblical history and expose hidden truths that challenge everything you thought you knew. If you find our content eye-opening, don't forget to subscribe for more captivating and thought-provoking videos. Now, let's explore why the Bible makes it clear that ghosts, as commonly understood, do not exist. First, let's define what people typically mean by ghost. The popular belief is that ghosts are the souls of deceased individuals who somehow remain trapped in the world of the living, often haunting people or places, seeking revenge, or attempting to communicate unfinished business. This concept has been deeply embedded in our culture through countless stories and movies, but the Bible reveals a very different reality, one that shatters this notion entirely. So where did this widespread belief in ghosts originate if the Bible says they aren't real? To find the answer, we need to revisit one of the most perplexing stories in the Bible, Saul and the Witch of Endor. This tale holds the key to understanding the truth about spirits. At this moment in history, King Saul was at the end of his rope. He had lost favor with God due to repeated acts of disobedience, notably his failure to fully carry out God's commands against the Amalekites. Meanwhile, the prophet Samuel, who had served as Saul's spiritual advisor, had passed away, leaving Saul isolated as the Philistines prepared for war against Israel. Desperation gripped Saul as he sought guidance, but God remained silent, an ominous sign that Saul had lost divine support. In his desperation, Saul did something unthinkable. He sought out a medium, despite having previously banned all such practices in Israel as commanded by God. Disguised, Saul visited a woman in Endor who practiced necromancy, a form of black magic condemned in the Bible. He asked her to summon the spirit of Samuel. The medium was initially afraid, fearing that this might be a trap, but Saul reassured her that no harm would come to her. She then called forth a spirit, which she described as an old man wrapped in a robe. Saul immediately assumed this was Samuel. But was it really Samuel? This question has haunted theologians and scholars for centuries. Many argue that the apparition was not Samuel at all, but a demonic spirit pretending to be him. The Bible explicitly condemns necromancy and communication with the dead, which suggests that Saul's act of desperation may have opened a door to evil. On the other hand, some believe that God allowed Samuel's spirit to appear one last time to deliver a final judgment against Saul for his disobedience. However, both interpretations lead to the same conclusion: tampering with the spirit world is dangerous and forbidden by God. This brings us to a crucial truth that many find hard to accept. When I tell people that their deceased loved ones are not lingering around as spirits, they often reject this biblical teaching. But the Bible is crystal clear: there is no communication between the living and the dead. Any experience that seems like contact with a ghost is more likely a deceptive spirit aiming to lead you away from the truth. The Bible's warnings on this matter are firm, yet so many choose to ignore them, clinging to popular myths instead. The story of Saul and the Witch of Endor is the only instance in the Bible where a spirit of the dead is called forth, and even then, it remains shrouded in doubt and controversy. Whether it was truly Samuel or a demonic impersonation, one thing is undeniable: attempts to interact with the dead are fraught with danger and spiritual peril. Beware of these deceptive spirits; they are not what they seem. Deuteronomy 18 states, "There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or one who practices witchcraft, or a soothsayer, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritist, or one who calls up the dead. For all who do these things are an abomination to the Lord." Honestly, this verse makes it clear that trying to contact the dead or engaging with dead human spirits is strictly forbidden. The Bible labels such practices as detestable to the Lord. This isn't just a casual warning. It's a serious command that shows how God views the idea of interacting with ghosts. In Ecclesiastes chapter 9, the Bible even gives us a straightforward answer about the state of the dead. King Solomon states, "For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Also their love, their hatred, and their envy have now perished. Nevermore will they have a share in anything done under the sun." Solomon goes further to explain that the dead no longer have any involvement in the things that happen under the sun. This phrase, "under the sun," is a recurring theme throughout Ecclesiastes and refers to everything that happens on earth in the realm of the living. Solomon emphasizes that the dead have no part in earthly matters anymore. Their emotions, actions, and existence on earth have ceased entirely. When Solomon says the dead know nothing, he is making it clear that those who have died are no longer conscious or aware of what happens in the world of the living. Their memory, love, hatred, and envy all perish with them. They no longer participate in life or influence events in the earthly realm, which dispels the common notion that the spirits of dead people, what some might call ghosts, linger around and interact with the living. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense. In the spirit realm, the dead might know a few things, but when it comes to the earthly realm, the dead pretty much have no clue what is going on, since they are no longer on this side. Pause. Do you want to read the Book of Giants? Or the Book of Adam and Eve? Maybe even the early life of Jesus? Lucky for you, we have prepared a PDF file filled with thousands of apocryphas and helpful resources. Obviously, you can do this research yourself, but why work hard when we got you covered? Check the link in the description. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Let's return to the video. Okay, so now the question is, if we can't actually see ghosts, who most of us believe to be dead relatives, then what exactly do we see? Luckily, the Bible has an answer for that. The Bible often uses the term spirit rather than ghost, and these spirits are not the souls of deceased people returning to haunt the living. Instead, the Bible identifies these spirits as either angels or demons, spiritual beings that interact with the physical world in various ways. Let's start by understanding that in the Bible, spirits can fall into two broad categories. Angels. These are the messengers and servants of God, sent to protect, guide, and deliver His messages. Demons. These are fallen angels, spiritual beings that rebelled against God and now seek to deceive and harm humanity. This means that if you have interacted with something that we call a ghost, it is most likely not a dead relative. Instead, it's either a messenger sent by God or a demonic force working against God. If you are apart from God, you are more susceptible to demonic forces, just like Saul could have been. First, let's talk about angels. Angels are the messengers and servants of God, sent to protect, guide, and deliver His messages to humans. Sometimes the Bible might describe encounters with these angels as encounters with spirits, or what people might think of as ghosts. In fact, in the book of Hebrews, Paul describes angels as ministering spirits. He stated, "Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for those who will inherit salvation?" King David also describes angels as spirits when he stated that God lays the beams of His upper chambers in the waters, who makes the clouds His chariot, who walks on the wings of the wind, who makes His angels spirits. His ministers a flame of fire. This verse highlights that God makes His angels spirits, emphasizing their spiritual nature, and His ministers as flames of fire, symbolizing their power and purity. One compelling example of an angel interacting with a human is the angel Gabriel, who was sent by God to a young virgin named Mary in the town of Nazareth. Gabriel announced to Mary that she had been chosen to conceive and give birth to Jesus, the Son of God. "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God, and behold, you will conceive in your womb and bring forth a son, and shall call His name Jesus." So it is 100% possible for people to interact with spiritual beings in the real world, as God Himself can send them as messengers to accomplish His will. If someone ever told you they might have seen a ghost, most likely it could have been an angel or another spiritual being sent by God, but definitely not a dead relative trying to interact with them. According to the Bible, this is not godly. On the other side of the spiritual spectrum, the Bible also speaks of demons, fallen angels, who rebelled against God and now seek to deceive, harm, and possess humans. These demons are referred to as unclean spirits and are often involved in causing great distress to people. In fact, the Book of Enoch explains to us exactly how some of these unclean or evil spirits came to inhabit the earth. If you remember correctly, during the days of Jared, there was much uncleanness occurring, and God Himself even states, "Now it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown." According to Enoch, when the fallen angels, also known as the Watchers, came down to earth, they created offsprings known as giants and taught men forbidden knowledge. This knowledge led humanity astray, turning their focus away from God and toward practices that are considered sinful, including witchcraft and attempts to communicate with the dead. One of the leaders of these fallen angels, Semjaza, specifically taught humanity the art of enchantments and root cuttings. The Book of Enoch states, Semjaza taught enchantments and root cuttings. Armaros the resolving of enchantments. Barakiel taught astrology. Kokabel the constellations. Ezekiel the knowledge of the clouds. Arachiel the signs of the earth. Shamsiel the signs of the sun. And Sariel the course of the moon. Now these teachings laid the foundation for many of the dark arts, including the idea of contacting the dead. This directly contradicts God's commandments and is why the Bible warns so strongly against engaging in these practices. The idea of talking to dead relatives likely stems from these ancient influences, which were intended to lead people away from God and towards dangerous spiritual practices. In fact, after the Watchers had taught man forbidden knowledge, they produced many offsprings known as giants, and God did not obviously like what the fallen angels were doing, and humans were dying left and right due to the giants. So before the flood, the Watchers asked Enoch to speak to God on their behalf since they were unable to reach God themselves. God cursed the fallen angels and their generation. Pay close attention, because God told Enoch to tell the Watchers. Now the giants who have been born of spirit and of flesh shall be called upon earth evil spirits, and on earth shall be their habitation. Evil spirits shall proceed from their flesh, because they were created from above. From the holy Watchers was their beginning and primary foundation. Evil spirits shall they be upon earth, and the spirits of the wicked shall they be called. The habitation of the spirits of heaven shall be in heaven, but upon earth shall be the habitation of terrestrial spirits, who are born on earth. The spirits of the giants shall be like clouds, which shall oppress, corrupt, fall, contend, and bruise upon earth. They shall cause lamentation. No food shall they eat, and they shall be thirsty. They shall be concealed, and shall not rise up against the sons of men and against women, for they come forth during the days of slaughter and destruction. God declares that the Watchers will be punished for their transgressions. Their once heavenly existence is now corrupted, and they are condemned to a state of eternal torment. Their offspring, the Nephilim, are also cursed. The spirits of the Nephilim, after their physical bodies die, become evil spirits on the earth. These spirits will cause harm and destruction among humans, as they are born from both flesh and spirit. The passage explains that these evil spirits will remain on earth, leading people astray and causing turmoil. Even in the book of Mark, when Jesus was performing his miracles, one of these demons was cast out. In Mark chapter 5, Jesus encounters a man possessed by many demons. This man lived among the tombs and could not be restrained, even with chains, the Bible states. And when he had come out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit who had his dwelling among the tombs. And no one could bind him, not even with chains. When he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and worshipped him. And he cried out with a loud voice and said, "What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I implore you by God that you do not torment me." For he said to him, "Come out of the man, unclean spirit." Then he asked him, "What is your name?" And he answered, saying, "My name is Legion, for we are many." In this story, the unclean spirits or demons within the man recognize Jesus immediately and fear his power. These demons are spiritual beings, but unlike angels, they are evil and seek to destroy rather than help. When people encounter such malevolent spirits, they might mistake them for ghosts. But the Bible clarifies that these are not the spirits of dead people, but fallen angels causing harm. In conclusion, if you think of ghosts as the spirits of deceased relatives returning to finish unfinished business, or if you engage in activities like using a Ouija board, it's important to understand that the entities you're contacting are not human spirits or the souls of dead relatives. If these spirits are not angels sent by God to guide you, then they are likely demonic forces. Hopefully you were able to learn something new. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We will see you on our next video.